We on air. Hi, good afternoon and welcome. A warm welcome to Patco Mafani Conversations. Igama lami nguPatco Mafani. Thanda namukela ke bethuna nonke nje abantu abaphulaphuleyo ababukeleyo ngeli xesha nabaphulaphuleyo kule nkqubo yethu where on Thursdays, every Thursday at 5, we speak to leaders in South Africa. We make sure that we talk to leaders, particularly in the context of COVID-19, how COVID-19 affects various sectors in South Africa. When we started with Oscar Mabuyane, the Premier of the Eastern Cape. And we were talking about the province of the Eastern Cape and COVID-19. And then after that, we spoke to Ace Ngobo. I'm just reminding you, and we're talking about football and COVID-19. We went to Sisa Ncula talking about tourism in South Africa and COVID-19. How COVID-19 impacts on these various sectors and industries and various ways of life, the major disruptions that are created by the COVID-19 pandemic. But then we also did something that was beyond the expression and word noble, and due to public and popular demand besithi abantu abasibukeleyo ku-Facebook live nabantu abasibukele ku-YouTube besithi you've got to have a part 2 yala episode eyayisithi how I beat COVID-19. That day we had uNdaba Mandela. We also had Umlamli Mancala obedlala pha with the Queen. We had my own son Uchuma Mafani, umfana endandim-motivator nam uba ayoyisa i-COVID, and indeed wayoyisa Uchuma i-COVID-19. And I think there was huge demand. Sabelo Hlanganisa naye was part of the crew in the studio, and there was huge demand, and I'm giving you this background so you understand where we come from. There were questions also we could not really attend to and really answer. And those were the questions relating to whether or not reinfection it's a myth or it's a fact. And what do people, the victors of COVID-19, what do they do to make sure they don't get reinfected if there's anything like that? And that's why namhlanje sizenabo nogqirha eshowini yethu. And so we're going to have a great time. Dr. Jilata will be joining us shortly. We do have Dr. Pinky Ncula. She is with us. Hi, Pinky.
Hi, Buti.
Kunjani?
Njani?
Wonderful. It's great to have you. Thank you for agreeing ukuba khona kwi-Patco Mafani Conversations namhlanje sizokwazi ukuncedana. And what is the most amazing thing ngestory sika-Dr. Pinky Ncula is that yena qala sevela wrestlisha ne-COVID-19, and yet she's a professional. She's a frontline worker. She was right in the thick of the risk. Okay, right at the front line, and ndiyafuna ukumsokolisa wayoyisa ulapha estudio namhlanje, and she's going to be advising us, fellow South Africans. Ndayoyika ke le expression ka fellow South Africans, I don't know uba why ndisebenzisa fellow South Africans. Akho nto igqitha into yoba sifumane ulwazi kubantu abafana noogqirha about whether or not ikhona i-possibility into yokokuba uthi ngoku uyoyisile i-COVID-19 uphinde kwakhona ube reinfected. Now, oogqirha ke bazasichazela also nangendlela ekufuneka siziphethe ngayo. They'll be advising a lot in terms of how to continue with the precautionary measures and everything to make sure that you're not reinfected. Bobby Lunga Love, umhlobo we-9FM, umthola every Sunday morning ngo-11 ehamba noTsidi. Okay, bephethe ezelathers. Okay, Dodo. For instance, uqaba ulwa ne-COVID.
Yeah, Mchan.
Yeah.
15 days of wrestling.
But it's good. It's good that it's good you're here so that South Africans nabaphulaphuli bakho kumhlobo bazoyazi into yokuba uyibethe njani and what you're doing now. I want to welcome another special guest, and ndimnikwe ngumamqhinebe usis akhona uMacax xa bembiza bamthandayo bemteketisa ngesename yakhe uMamcakatha. Macax, it's good to have you on the show. Thank you for agreeing with.
Good afternoon, Betunana.
Yes.
I'm happy to be over here.
Wonderful. Enkosi kakhulu. And another former colleague of mine, Alice ndathanda into yokuba uyi-unmute imicrophone yakho because ndifika kuwe ngoku so that uzokwazi into yokokuba nawe uzibulisele. That's right. Okay. So and i-COVID andiyazi uba andihamba ndingathi ne-apartheid ingathi leqana nabantu abahle. Serious guys. Andiyazi ingathi i-COVID ibhalele kubantu abahle. Ndenza umzekelo, for instance, jonga nangu Alice Gogo Machoba, my former colleague by SABC News. Alice, hi, kunjani?
Siyaphila butphatko enkosi kuhle kunjani kuni?
Yeah, kahle man. Akhonto zimbi sonwabile wethu. It's good to have you apha showing. Ndiyanqwenela ke into yoba usettlishe nepicture yakho sonke bethuna macaks. Ndiyanqwena sisettlishe sonke sesemoyeni ngoku. So abantu basibukele live ku-YouTube naku-Facebook. Nabo ndiyafuna ke into yokokuba bethuna abantu ababukeleyo babe kanti ndiyabamkela and sekukhona just across nje abantu abathi yes nam ndikhona abantu abasijoyinayo eshowini namhlanje mphakamisa imgadi sithi inkosi Chawu siyabulela ngokusiphathela abantu uphelisa Jirha naye sithi uyabulela into yoba abe kanti unathi lumka khonziwe and ukhwaza nabantu bakhe umuntu uthatha njengongena atagqiba akhwaza omnye athege omnye yena ekhwaza untombi mehlo makulu into yoba makangene eshowini. Okay, ikhona nepage ekuthiwa i-breakup testimonials esithi there's a spiritual man of God called Papa Adams. Esithi yo uyanceda lo Papa Adams, numbers zakhe uzipublishile ke phaya. Now spirituality of course is going to be part of the journey kwincoko yethu namhlanje, because I would love to assume that there might have been times apho umuntu beqonda uba hey itheni ngathi yandithatha njengole COVID, but then one's spirituality then kicks in, one's spirituality kicks in. And so uphelisa Jirha uthi oh man usis Pinky wam, so Dr. Pinky Ncakani Ncula baya kuclaima ke. I think senokwenzeka abanye zii-patients zakho wethu zamane uzibona ii-patients zakho zigqitha. Namhlanje kasikhuphi iphepha likagqirha guys, please asikhuphi phepha likagqirha namhlanje. Mandiqale, they usually say ladies first, but Pinky, I want to get this out of the way because later on I need to talk to you as a professional so that you give professional advice, professional free counseling to the viewers, and particularly also in dispelling myths around COVID-19. Enye yezinto that sikwazileyo ukuyenza successfully apha kwi-Part Mafani Conversations was to dispel indaba ye-stigma. Into kokuba there shouldn't be stigmatization se-COVID-19, and I'm trying to imagine ingaba uvela phina umntu at this day and age ozawustigmatiza i-COVID-19 kucace into kokuba wonyanya okanye ujongela phantsi okanye unyasha okanye uskeya okanye unukuneza umntu oteste positive yi-COVID-19. I mean, if wena usena abantu bajongela phantsi ngenxa ye-COVID-19 ofuna it's enough to ukuphepha i-physical contact ungayi emingcwabeni and all of that, but lando cabani okay afuna nothetha naye nasefowunini zonke ezaa zinto uvela phi wena siye, because you don't have a chance into kokuba ube kanti uzayistigmatiza i-COVID-19. Another welcome kubantu abasanda sijoyina ke bethuna. Ndifuna uqala ngawe unyanisile kumamqhinebe laa nto ayithethayo emabongs uthi you in the presence of oduka. Ubona amaqhinebe amaninzi apha estudio. Alice mamqhinebe for life, kanti kuza nomnye umamqhinebe onguncumisa. Wena Pinky ngubani isiduko? Yazi oogqirha sikhe sibabuze isiduko. Doctor ngubani isiduko sakho?
My father was umgcina.
Oh yes, umaxhamela.
Yes.
Wow. Maxhamela sizawuqala kuwe. Ndiqala kuwe because esakho story it's a double barrel, i-combo. Use-streetwise too light. Uwedwa because ikufikele walwa nayo and ukwangugqirha. Just tell us about your story.
The story some put particle. It goes. I think from the time that we had the first case diagnosed in South Africa, I felt deep down in my heart that this is going to be inevitable for most of us, especially those that are working in the front line. So I made a foolish prayer. Maybe in the eyes of people it's foolish, but I just said, God, just get me through this COVID infection. Manbe nayo COVID kube kanye, didilishane nayo kube kanye, siyazi into yobana singapha kwela cala, sibele iJordan. So it's since March, April, May, when the cases mount, when the number of people that are infected were starting to mount and hospitals were beginning to be inundated with COVID positive patients, it became clear that there is no running away from it, at least for me. You can do all that you want. You can cover yourself. I mean, in hospital now, I'm talking specifically. You can do all that you want. You can cover yourself. You have no cooking clue which angle or direction this is coming from. So we have all the PPEs, even the visors, the face shields and everything, but I still got infected. So on the date that I got infected, that I actually became aware of my symptoms, it was the 15th of June. I was doing my post-weekend round and I felt unusually tired. But that was also experienced before the 15th, I think the 13th and the 14th of June. More tired than I would normally be from a call. But on the Monday, the 15th of June, that is when I started getting nauseous. I felt chills and I could sense that I didn't like my food. I couldn't even taste it properly. Then that's when I decided to go. I went for the test in the middle of a ward round. I had to abandon my patients and hand them over to the other doctors. I was just feeling sick. I just started feeling sick out of the blue because I was fine relatively the weekend before and the week before. But that Monday, it was the most fateful day of my life. We went and we tested, and then I waited for my results. This is one thing that is amazing about waiting for results. You know that you're probably positive and you have the symptoms that you have. But the minute I got the results, I started developing palpitations and shortness of breath and extreme weakness. And right there and then, and this is what I always ask my patients and tell them, I told myself, you know what? You had the symptoms that you had prior to knowing the results. A second after knowing the results, all of a sudden, now you're taking the whole corona. Told myself right there and then, lie. I don't have, I don't have all the package that came together with. It's as if now the diagnosis engine. I rejected the diagnosis. I mean the extra diagnosis here because I felt that anxiety was not corona infection. If started right there and then, and I thanked God. Most amazing God, thank you for allowing me through this cause. But the deal is God. Don't allow this to kill me. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it times, but it has been a journey. I had all the of corona except for the respiratory signs. I did not have much. I had the sore throat and also in the throat and everything. For me, it was a nausea, the exceptional weakness, body fat, having done nothing. Because I always tell people days, particularly flat out of bed in bed. I couldn't move, I couldn't do much. I didn't even take the opportunity to shower because I felt if I go, I felt 2 days without a I can wait and all 2 days. And then the food felt, I just didn't like any food. If I ended only a choice fruits and vegetables, and beyond that, especially particular. After that, on day 6, lifted off like a cloud. I started regaining my strength, thanking God for clearly had conquered the infection. But the take-home message for me was one thing to be a doctor treating patient.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Maklamela. Ikona into engathi microphone yakho iyabreaka. Okanye apha studio ukhona umuntu oconnecte kabini. If you connected both laptop and phone, ndicela enye yazo uyicancelishe i-broadcast yakhona. it's creating interference. I don't think in microphone yakho, maybe somebody tried to connect twice.
Okay.
Ngicela siyilungise loo nto ne ikhona into ecompromise equality sound. Dr. Ncumisa Jilata Mamqinebe, welcome Chini madoda. It's good to have you. It's good to have you. And we're talking to your colleague, by the way, Dr. Pinky Ncula, who also was COVID-19 positive. It's an amazing story. Abantu bacinga uba into yokokuba oogqirha ba-immune ekubeni ba ezinye izinto zibafumane, and it's such a fascinating story. And Pinky, we're going to come back to your story. I just need to go around the table and umamqinebe yena uDr. Ncumi Jilata noko yena usenethamsanqa njengam khange khe I like that. Uthi usenethamsanqa okwangoku khange imbambe, so uyafana nje nam. All right. Now let me get to usis Akhona uMacax. Esakho story Macax, how did you get to discover that you were COVID-19? And immediately, what were the first reactions? Who was the first person to tell? Were you not scared that lento ingakuphathela discrimination ethile mhlambe efamilini ekuweska wendile ungumfazi? What's your story?
Manbulise to everybody who's watching, and thank you to all my friends who hit the call and joined. I hope my story is akwenza umahluko emntwini. What happened was that my husband had gone to work over the weekend, and it transpired that ukhona umuntu ongaphilanga phaa kuye ke emsebenzini over the weekend. I think it was the weekend of Father's Day, if memory serves me well. Then on the Wednesday after that, I think it'd be past 22, 23. It was a Wednesday, got into ndikhumbulayo. Or Tuesday, waxelelwa ke yile colleague uba akaphilanga. And beyotesta, and it results zibuye positive. And my husband didn't work that weekend. On the Wednesday, yay, kushushu apha. It's a Wednesday, kushushu. But utata ekhaya uyagodola, uyaqhaqhazela, status ihita. Hayi ke ndingumntu we-worst case scenario thinking mna ndiqombe othixo siyifumene le COVID. But ke singabantu bebehleli besela imixube, sisenze ezaa zinto ze-immune boosters that. Now on the Thursday kucaba iyaqinisa le flu yakhe, but abantu abangobhuti kuyabazi ngongafuniya kwagqirha. Friday we then are supposed to take a journey to Butterworth ekhaya, siyobabona ekhaya. But we end up changing our mind because of a couple of issues financially. We end up singagoduki siye ekhaya, size Mondi, umyenam aye kwagqirha. Atsho ke kugqirha uba kukho le ngxaki, then sithiwa makayotesta, but sifike elab sekuvalwa. Husband then anikwe treatment. On that Friday evening, zange ndibubone ke mna ke obubulalwayo. I'm asthmatic now, and I've got hypertension, and I'm chronically asthmatic, so I'm on chronic asthma meds. Ngoba busuku ke, I think it felt like I had a chest infection, but it was like from the normal chest infection endiyiqhelileyo, this is like 10 times or even, yeah, it's 10 times what I'm used to. Ndiqhele ndavele ndayenza ndazinxa ndazihlalela ngebronchodilator kwasa, just uba mandikwazi uphefumla, because the asthma pump was not giving me any relief. Ndayiqonda uba ikhona ingxaki. I had a tough time breathing. My daughter woke up in the morning and she was also not feeling well. Ndaleqisa ke kugqirha, ndathi ndicela uforwardwa for uyotesta, ndathi ndicela nenzele i-prescription ye-nebulizer, because nebulizer ndayigqibela kudala ndayazi noba iphi. I then got that prescription for a nebulizer. I went to test with my daughter. My son showed no signs. The weekend in Tetangayo, I think it was the weekend of the 25th or 26th, yes. That was a very terrible weekend for my family and I. I could barely move. I had breathing. I had shortness of breath. Ukondlula ibhedi. Felt like ndigqibobaleka marathon. I had it was a very terrible weekend. Then on the Wednesday, me and Nam got the results that he had tested positive. His doctor confirmed he's tested positive. We had a family meeting, so by phone, positive. On that evening, my doctor called to confirm that my daughter and I had both tested positive. My daughter broke down in tears, and I think it was seeing my daughter cry like that, mostly from fear. We had another family meeting that evening. We discussed that's COVID. My husband wanted to move ayohlala kwindawo ebalungiseleleyo kube sithi mhlambe to help avoid infecting unyana wethu, because unyana wethu is also asthmatic just like me, but he had shown no signs. We then took him to the doctor. His results also came back positive eventually. Thina ke sayidilishana nayo as a family. We took a decision, sahlala sazibambela family meeting into kokubana ayisosigwebo i-COVID-19 sizawuphila. We've seen the numbers abantu bephila. What we did is we prayed religiously. We were praying every evening, regardless of how tired we were. We prayed every evening. We were fortunate to have friends coming from far. Emandi Paule Unyanisa would come over from Abbotsford to Gonubi, wanting to assist us. I had many friends offering to do so many things for me. My family all the way from Butterworth, Naya baby, Tumelela bantu ne fruit nendoni. But Tina, what we mostly did was we stuck to limeko beyitu besienza, which is like the cayenne pepper, ginger. We were doing that twice a day. We were drinking warm water with lemon. We were drinking immune boosters. Because I'm asthmatic and I had somewhat of a chest infection, I was given medication, antibiotics, to get rid of the phlegm and all of that. My family got well. And nangoku, I think it's mostly still the asthma esansokolisayo, but more or less we recovered ebunzimeni.
Okay, all right. Look, if friends zakho ezininzi ziyabhala ku-Facebook zithi AK sikhona chomam, and we thank God for you. And nam ngenza kubiza ngolu hlobo bakubiza ngalo belokho bethi AK sikhona. I want to follow up something in your testimony. And I like the fact that although ifamily yonke tested positive, you told the children, you told yourselves, and you told the children that this is not going to kill us. We've seen a lot of people recovering. And I like that. And I would love to believe, I'm not a doctor, the doctors are in the studio, but I'd love to believe there is a particular percentage of one's recovery we can attribute to mental strength. It looks to me that you were a family, and you are a family that was mentally strong to fight. And I need us to underline that we're going to come back to that. We're going to let me bring in Dr. Ncumi, Mamkinebe. Kwi-microphones zethu bethuna isekhona lihlihlizayo, andiyazi kabani na, but kubantu abane-earpieces isekhona le ehlihlizayo interfere ne-broadcast. Sacela sisettlishe down, please, and if it's possible to do without earpiece, just if it's possible, because ukhona uhlihli kwezi earpiece ne u-interfere ne-broadcast. Okay, all right. I need Nkosi Mamqhele, Nkosi Alice. I need to bring in Dr. Ncumi. There are things that have been said here from a patient point of view, and sort of encouraging other family members, and these symptoms as a choyo. AK, what is your comment, Glendoye's symptoms, and how quickly they got to the doctor?
Yes, andimvanga kakuhle sis AK. I think ngoku microphone ingasebenzi. So it was completely silent from my side.
Yeah. Mhlambi generally the kind of symptoms, because uthethile ngezabo symptoms. Generally, what are the symptoms that people and patients come and relate and that you would love that nabanye abantu ababukeleyo apha tonight bazijonge ezo symptoms?
I think masiqale ngokhohlela. Abantu abaninzi bafika besithi umuntu ebene-throat engathi iyascratch apha emqaleni, engathi khona into escratchayo. Suke after a couple of days itshintshe ibe ukukhohlela. Those, I think, are the typical symptoms that most people come with, including abantu abafika fever, temperature high. So if uyaziva uba ushushu, particularly xa ulele ebusuku uvele uvuke ubilile nto leyo engathanga ukwenzeka, then I would say you need to seek help almost immediately. Intloko ebuhlungu, a lot of people, particularly my colleagues, abantu abaye badiagnoswa nge-COVID-19, a lot of them bebengazazi uba banayo, bengenazo nee-symptoms zokukhohlela, but umntu avele asuke nje abe nentloko ebuhlungu angayazi itheni and ayitreateki ncam nge-typical medication le uqhela uyithatha for intloko ebuhlungu. Abanye, something that's been a little bit or rather atypical, somebody ofika a loss of balance, yabo, uthi uyawalka nje usuke uzive ngathi imilenze le iyayekelela, yabo, bene-loss of balance, uye esibhedlele, go to I'd say those are the things that people need to look for. Abanye, loss of sense of smell. So uba ubenukayo ngefuni, but ezanika i-tip or a hint is usuke usitya taste yokutya ungaqali, because of course taste and smell go hand in hand. So some people will suddenly come and say ndiyatya but taste yokutya andiyityi, and then you realize that actually it's coming from the loss of sense of smell. So I think those are the important symptoms that people need to be able to pick up.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mam Kunebe. I seem to be losing you. And I know bukhona nomuntu ophethe ifoni yakhe ngesandla na ikhona interference esiyifumanayo. I would love that sisettlishe down and nephone zethu zibe on something. Singazibambi ngesandla and sort of interfere with them, because i-microphone ilapha kanye efonini ngaphansi, le microphone odependa kuyo ukuze sikuve thina apha estudio nabantu ababukeleyo. Let's just settle down, please, and not interfere with the device. Let the device stand on its own so that we are audible. Singayibambi ngezandla or anything like that. There's still something, and warishayo, this squishy sound evakalayo. There's a sound evakalayo which sort of worries me, because ibaluleke yonke lento ithethwa apha, every person has an amazing, important, very, very significant story that we would love to hear. I'm just worried ngale interference. I don't know. I'm tempted that we redial in sonke. This sound is terrible.
Okay.
Are there people that have are there people that have TVs and other things that are on up in ngoku? Sonke mos is connecting a device one, ne?
Yes.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, there's something that's interfering. Yeah, there's something that's interfering with the broadcast. Uyabo? Mam Kunebe, ila connection yakhe le uncumi. Okay, all right. While she's redialing uncumi, okay, and I'm glad that I realize it. Let me come to Alice. Omnyu Mam Kunebe, abele omnyu Mam Kunebe. Mam Kunebe, let me come to you. Everybody has a story about. I mean, it shocked me into ayithethileyo uDr Pinky into kokuba yena wayena unomthandazo othi inkosi mayinibambe biyanibamba ndidilishane nayo igqithe ndigqibe ngayo, and indeed yenzeka loo nto leyo. Guys, I don't know what percentage I can attach to mental strength. I don't know whether it's 60% or 70% of your healing. You're going to be right here, and this is what I'm gathering. It's very, very, very critical. All right, Mam Kunebe, what's your story when I was shocked that now Buka Banjwa COVID? Please tell us your story, how you discovered and the first thing that you did.
Mandibulise kuzo zonke i-colleagues nezi-colleagues ke ngoku because sisonke ngoku apha.
Yeah.
Esami story bit different, but it was quite different because I also tested positive. Ngale mini, it was on the 22nd of May. Ngibuya emsebenzini, it was on a Friday. Xa ndifika apha endlini utata is feeling a little bit down. Ndibuza uba ngaba ndingumuntu ke opena ikhaya umthetho wam. Uba ndiyabona uba ngathi even nomntana uba uneproblem anyana ndikhawuleza ndimbone. Ndibuze uba ayibo kwenzeka ntoni ngathi awukho rayithi nje. Athi ke nake ingathi ndiqalwa yiflu. Ndithi ke mna ke okay, funa sifowunele ugqirha mhlawumbi senze appointment because kwakuse-early. Athi no, because ngomso ndiya kwi-dialysis, ngumntu mos we-dialysis, ngumntu ne-kidney problems. So ndingamind ke at the moment because akukho nto serious that much. It's just that nje it's feeling down, akakhohleli akananto. It's just that it's feeling down. Then silale ke kusasa avuka aye e-renal center. Bafika e-renal center, afike phaa baya bascreena mos. Xa bethi bapick up that i-temperature yakhe is high. It was above 37.5. Baphinde bamteste kwakhona after 5 minutes kucaba i-temperature yakhe is not going down, instead it's going up. Bathi matheba goduka, no, iya e-casualty esibhedlele so that bazokwenza further test so that sizoyazi uba ngaba yintoni, because i-temperature yakho endaweni uba ihle is going up. Xa ifika apha endlini, heyi, ndiqala ukupenika ke ngoku, bayibo i-temperature yakhe ufike i-up, inoba kwenzeka ntoni. Alright, ndike mna ke okay, then sithatha abantwana sibase kumakazi wam, sileqe esibhedlele. Ndingangeniswa ke mna, kungene yena. Later on afowuni, hamba mfondini, because into eyenzekayo ndizawulinda ii-results because kufuneka ndidayalazile at the same time, so abazokwazi ukundikhupha until kuphume ii-results. And then ndiqala ukupenika ke ngoku because it sounded serious xa bezawuthetha ngento ye-COVID, bamtheste for i-COVID, because napha esibhedlele ufike sele ingu-39 i-temperature yakhe. Azikho ke ezinye ii-signs ngaphandle kwale temperature high. Apha endleleni ndifowune, ndiqala upenika, ndifowune umamam, heyi mama, ndigqibodropha utata esibhedlele. Athi yintoni? Ndichaze ke mna ukuba esenta phaa e-renal center baye bafika apha into yoba ngaba i-temperature yakhe is high, then bamthumela esibhedlele kuba kufuneka edayalazile at the same time, so abakwazi ukuthi makaye endlini. So makaye esibhedlele so that azodayalayiza while elinde nee-results. So bamthestile ke, sizawuva ke xa mhlawumbi ii-results zibuyile. Ndisendipenika kakhulu because ngoku into ethi kukho into.
It's okay. It's all right.
Kukho into engixelayo uba ngaba lo mntu lona ngumntu we-renal, so if he tested positive that means this is the end, because ii-results ziyasixelela into yoba ngaba abantu abakwi-chronic don't make it. So on my way back ndiqonde andifuni uya nasebantwaneni, I'm scared because ndiyazoyika ii-results uba zingabuya zithi mhlawumbi positive, because kole kuba bemtest i-temperature yakhe keeps on going up and ndiqonde mandivele ndiye straight endlini. Ndifike ke apha endlini ndizama uklina ke, ndizama udistract ingqondo yam ke, mandimfowunela ke azikabuyi ii-results, ndifowunele ke no-line manager because andiyazi uba mandithini, because ndiyapenika and ndinidi into ezandikhama down because ndiyazoyika ezi results. Ndiyaxolisa. And then zibuye ke ii-results, I think the following day adrophe. Zange ndiye ebantwaneni laa mini because I was scared. Ndaphela apha endlini. So the following day zabuya ii-results, he tested positive. Then iyaqala again esinye i-stress ke ngoku uba xa iteste positive lo mntu engumntu wezintso, that means okay, mandingacingi the worst, mandicinge izinto ezipositive. Sendibaxelele ke ifemeli uba besilindele ii-results, so ndabachazela ke ngokuba ii-results ziphumile, uteste positive utata. I don't know what's going to happen, but akakabi nazi serious symptoms at the moment. Iseyile nale temperature qha, and wabe seqala ukukhohlela ke ngoku apha esibhedlele. On a Monday, because yenzeka le nto yonke over the weekend. So I called my doctor, ndamchazela ke story ke, sengikhala already. Wathi ke mandikhame down because akukho nto izakwenzeka, mandibe strong because I need to be strong. Into eyindiwarisha yile nto uba ndimazi uba he's on chronic and ndina nomntana omncinci 6 months old baby. So andiyinid yonke le nto at the moment, ndinida into yoba ndixele iindaba ezaba different from ezi ndizivayo. Then okay, sihambe ke nabantwana ke ugqirha kandenzele ezi forms, ndihambe ke siyothesta nabantwana elab nosisi luncedisa apha endlini. Silinde ke, I think on a Wednesday siqala ungena results, zingene zabantwana zonke zabo, thanks God, zabuya zi-negative. And then delay ezam nezikasisi zafika, naye wathesta negative. Kwafika ezam on a Friday zi-positive. And then azange ndiyazi uba what to do, ngaphandle kokucinga uba okay now ndinale ngxaki. The reason why i-emotional ngolu hlobo into yoba ndanditwisted yonke into endandiyicinga nje, ndandicinga into ezirongo. Into eyayibanga uba ndicinga into ezirongo yile nto uba ndiyazi uba this person usesibhedlele is on chronic, and eleke uba ndimtshekitsha i-situation yakhe is not improving, instead is getting worse, and sele se-ICU already that time ndifumane ezam results. So ngoku I need to isolate, ndibe kude nasebantwaneni. Phofu nda-isolate immediately siyothesta, ndathi ndicela uba away ebantwaneni. Usisi while silinde results maka-take care of abantwana, because ndandibona bona uba abanazi-symptoms, nam andinazi-symptoms, just that it was just a fear kuba ndiyazi uba ndiclose emyenini, so ndingachaphazeleka. And then after zibuyile results zam, nam ndathi nditeste positive, and then ndainforma ke ofisi uba mabayazi uba ke teste positive, so bazobona ukuba kwenziwa njani na. Waqhubeka utata ehlele e-ICU iveki yokuqala kunzima, nam ndihlele erumini kunzima, andiyiphumi, andikwazi nothini, ndiphelele nje kuba ndihlala apha erumini. And into eyayindistresa ngabantwana, because they will keep on knocking emnyango, mama vula, wenzani, zonke ezaa zinto. And andikwazi ubaxelela uba abantwana bam ndi-positive, because lo mdala yena once kuthethwe ngecorona ucinga ngokufa. So andikwazanga kwa uyixelela uba utata he's positive, but ngoku siyothesta ubuzile mama why siyothesta, ndathi ke mna ke kuba utata esesibhedlele mhlawumbi angabuya e-positive, so kuba uzodibana nabanye abantu phayana, so masiyothestani thina. Then after zibuyile zabona baxelela, but ezam I couldn't tell them because yena umdala, she's 12 years, une-understanding nabanye abantwana aba. So it was very, very, very emotional moment at that moment, because zizodevelopha after i-results zam, i-symptoms zadevelopha. Ndaqala uba nengxaki discomfort apha esifubeni, fumaniseke uba ngaba bandihleli funeke ndizipozishine ngeposition ethile. Ebusuku xa ndizawulala ndithatha isitulo ndisibeke apha ngasebhedini ndihlale, because ndisigadile uba what if le nto in-attack ndilele, because into eyenzekayo njengoba ndihleli nje, uba ngaba ndingqiyame ngolu hlobo ndiyavaleka, ndibe ne-struggle ukubreatha kancinci, but eventually iphinde ihambe loo nto xa ndizenzele ezi mixtures ke. Ne-alcophylix elinye iyeza laliya liyandinceda. Ndaqhubekeka ke zihamba iintsuku, yaphela iveki yokuqala utata use-ICU, ndisekwi-quarantine. Yaphela iveki yesibini utata use-ICU, things are getting worse. Elekuba ndifowunele ewodini because andisathethi naye, ndifowunele ewodini uba doc okanye manesi ithini i-progress katata Matshoba. Batsho ukuba eyi mama thandaza, ndiyathandaza ke ngelaa xesha eliya ndindodwa. Eyona nto ibuhlungu kuba wedwa uba awukho nomntu mhlawumbi ozawuthi uthethe naye. Ewe, ii-calls ziyangena from family, from friends, from colleagues, even though ke there were some colleagues, okay let me not go there, but yaba khona nje ingxaki after ndiye ndathesta positive emsebenzini. I want to believe ke noba yile nto uba ndandiyi-case number 1 apha e-SABC apha e-Eastern Cape. Sorry. So there were colleagues ke eza-reacted differently than ezinye, of course, because yothusa le nto. But in short, yeah, ijeni yam yaba ngolo hlobo. Utata stayed for 3 weeks in ICU, but eventually ke waphuma, but a week kuba ese-week ke ndabe nam ke sendiburecoverisha, but emotionally ndingekho right kuba ndingekabikho right. And I think it will take time for mna, because it has messed ingqondo yam, because I lost 2 family members. I lost a friend while I was on quarantine. I was praying for my colleagues, because ndicinga uba eyi uba ngaba bateste positive ii-colleagues zam, that means ndizawube ndithwala umnqamlezo uba
uzawublenywa wena. Yeah,
Yes.
well, blame you.
And there was
Okay,
also
Mkhwebe, I want to come back to your story of yours is a story of pain in all ways, and I understand why you even broke down after showing. It's painful, particularly xa kuzawufumana discrimination nasemsebenzini. That makes it worse because it means that we have colleagues that are not aware, that are not clued up in terms of the kind of support that somebody needs in order to overcome. And that said, I'm very sorry that you even, to a certain extent, suffered a discrimination and stigmatization from colleagues. Ngenxa yexesha ndifuna ukuza kuBobby Love so that naye asinike summary yestory sakhe, and I know that we can stay for the whole night sinarrate izitori zethu, but there are critical areas of this interview endizawuthanda sifike kuzo, and and that's where the doctors come into, and they are listening and taking notes as you guys are talking, so that kube khona some counseling and advice going forward, not only for you but nabanye abantu, in terms of making sure that akukho ukuredressa if ibikhona into enjalo ukuthi umuntu uphinde wabuyela, okanye if ikhona into ye-reinfection. Sisezawuthetha nezo zinto nodoctor aba balapha estudio namhlanje. Bobby Love, mandize kuwe leta mfundini, umcimbi we-COVID-19, I am compelled intoba ke ndithathe esakho istory. Uthe xa uthetha nam wathi ibi-15 years of hell. What did you mean? I mean, 15 days of hell. What did you mean? What happened? Like, what did you see in you that was quite unusual?
Kulowa, I think I spoke to you in the city. And the fluid indinqabele. You know, generally, I'm a very healthy person. Ndiyajima, ndingumuntu wezimoothie, njalo njalo, you know. But I thought, oh, okay, ndine-flu. But kwakho into ethi kum, le flu mandiyitrite serious, let me call the doctor. And then I called my doctor. Wathi ucela ndihambe ndiye epharmacy uzabafowunela baxelele uba bandinike ntoni na. Bandinika ke izinto. I also had antibiotics. Ndajoyina negroup kaNtrizo Ozwa ye-support group ku-Facebook, because I didn't know ngale mixube. Ndiyibone phaa ke le mixube kule group uba, oh, okay, udityaniswa ijinja nento ethile nethile, nam ndabilisa ke. And ndisacinga uba ndine-flu e-ordinary. But xa ndigqiba ikhosi yam ye-antibiotics, I think on day 6, yho yangathi kungona ndiqala phantsi ugula wena mtshanam. I think day 7, that's when umzimba wami ubuhlungu. If uyakhumbula ndithe kuwe inoba bendinala 10% ye-pain yakaYobi, for the first time ndibe ne-understanding of what uYobi went through xa sifunda ngebali lakhe eBhayibhileni. Andithi bendikulaa level kaYobi, but umzimba wami ububuhlungu. Bendiqala uba nomzimba obuhlungu, ubone neskin esi sibuhlungu, kube buhlungu intloko, nescalp sibuhlungu xa kenenento. Ingathi soze uphinde uphile, you don't know uba kwenzeka ntoni na. I think on day 9 zasubsida eza pains, ndaqalwa ke ngoku zi-chest pains. You know, xa ubusejimini ubuphampa i-iron usenza isifuba, ugqibele kudala ejimini, the following day isifuba sakho siba buhlungu. Bendinjalo, ibingathi bendigqibele kudala ejimini ndayojima kakhulu, sibuhlungu kakhulu, you know, ngale ndlela iqonda uba ndiyapenika. But 2 days later yangathi yasubsida la pain. Ndaqalwa yinto esisimanga xa ndivula amehlo wam ekuseni ndivuka, ndingena ibathroom ingathi yellow yonke. And that actually happened for about 3 days, and that happened maybe for about 5 to 10 seconds. Breathing problems, ndizama usileqa esi story mkhuluwa. Breathing problems zangathi ziyaqala. At this stage andikamxeleli nonkosikazi wami ukuba ndigula kangakanani na because yena uhlele ebhayi mna ndilapha eRhawutini esentini. Andikamxeleli uba kwenzeka ntoni na kakuhlehle, but at this stage sendiyazi. I also got a call from my office, from my deputy chair, said, hey, one of the crew members tested positive. Bebehambe beyoshuta one of our TV shows. I think uyifumene apho. At that stage, I knew into yokubana it's this COVID. On day 11, Mkhuluwa, I think that's the day bendikubalisela ngayo ndithi that day I knew if ndiyalala andizovuka. I've never been that sick on day 11. I was so sick, I had no energy. Le nto usise beyithetha ukungazazi noba uhlale njani, awukwazi ubreatha. That's 2 steps ozithathayo. You have a serious short breath. You have no clue, you know, what to do. 3 a.m. I woke up. I decided at that stage I need to make a pact with God because I could tell now, I have parents who are very old, and I talked to God and I told him, but I need him. I really need him by intervening because clearly, if my wife will have to bury me, my parents, because there's no way they will make it. I had a bit of energy after my prayer. I remembered I have Vicks somewhere and I can't leave Vicks and I was able to breathe a little bit. But akwazulala mkhuluwa because ingathi xa ulele soze uphinde uvuke and uzivile istories abantu abalalayo nyani bangavuki. So ucinga lento, it's a serious thing. A friend of mine called me who's a pharmacist wabuza kwenzeka ntoni. What Norman? I don't think we're a problem with lungs. The problem is mainly with airwaves because at that stage I was thinking of going to hospital. So he told me what to do. Nyani 2 days later, at least I was able to breathe. To cut the long story short, when I'm Kulua, it was a moment from day 9 to day 13. It was a moment where I really felt like andizophinda ndiphile, especially on day 11. I really thought like, that's it. You know, namhlanje. I have 2 kids. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about so many people that I'm supporting. I mean, I buy groceries for 4 different families every month. I'm thinking about them. I take care of these people every month. That's when I said to God, please help me. How would this, I know but I ask you to use me as an instrument to help these people. And you've given me that opportunity to help. Now, kwenzeka lento yenzekayo ndiyafa bazawuthina babantu. Uthixo wandihlangula mkhuluwa. On day 16 I had my full strength, but ndifuna uthetha lento uthethwa ngusisi Alice wena mkhuluwa. To face death, it's not an easy thing. Ushiyeka afterwards ngokuziva uphilile right. Upstairs awukabi right. I have days, even now, I mean, I'm on day 34. I have days ngoku ndibuyelwa yile anxiety and I'll find tears in my eyes. Even now, it's not easy to face death. It's not easy. You don't know. You literally see your life evaporating in front of you. It's the scariest thing ever. I've never been that scared in my life. You know, I've never been that scared in my life, but I managed to pull through. Yehovah mkhulu. I think there is a need for an aftercare, you know. I think there is a need for an aftercare. I think there's a need for a lot of a conversation as positive as Fananezi. I stopped watching Indaba. I know one of your questions, did you watch? I couldn't, because I mean, you are faced with death. So many people died in this province. So many people died in this province. I stopped. So a lot of things, Bendizenza, I had to stop because I needed only positive messages. That's the only way I knew that I will pull through. Okay, Nkulu.
Okay, light. Okay, Lung. Okay, I know it's tough, Mchanam. It's tough, but you're already a victor. I want to emphasize that. It's tough, but you're already a victor. You've come out of it. You've come out of
I
it,
think
boy.
what makes me sad is people who stigmatize, this thing. You don't know. Uthe usisi eqala uthetha udog sivula ngaye wathi bendinxiba i-protective clothing andiyazi ndifumene njani le. Utshilo udog. It's true. So abantu abastigmatize abantu, they have no clue ukuba bangayifumana njani this thing. We need ukubambana. I don't know if you listen the stories bendinazo on my radio show. I was crying on my radio show on Sunday because umama ubuye esibhedlele xa efika endlini uyagxothwa ngumyeni. Uthi andisakufuni because ubune-COVID. I mean, what is that? What kind of cruelty is that? It's sad what people can do to each other. I might not experience that, but there's ordinary people who are going through pain. I mean, this guy tells me on my show, Mkulua, ukuthi he's thinking, why bendingafanga? Why am I experiencing this from my colleagues? Why am I experiencing this from uthi ngathi ndineqhenqe akho mntu ufuna uthetha nam? It's so sad. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Okay, like I need to read messages ezivela ebantwini abathi you are a conqueror. You are a conqueror already, and abaphosisi, you are a conqueror. You've defeated already, and I know what frustrates you: lack of support. If ungasafarisha wena lack of support ebantwini usenza imisebenzi engaka, wena qala ungumuntu omotivator no-inspire abantu on radio on a Sunday morning, and you suffer that, how much more kubantu abangena support system completely. There are people abangena support system completely, and we need to stop that. We need to stop into yokunukunezana ngolo hlobo. Uphela bhixa uthi Thixo ova izikhungo, Nkosi yami mikhulu imimangaliso yakho, utsho because of ezi testimonies. Let me bring in upper uSispinki, Dr. Ncula. Pinky, I need to bring you in. You stood on both. You stood on the edge of seeing your life potentially going away, but also one leg also was the leg that says Nkosi ndidla ngophilisa abantu kandiphilise. And what advice can you give umuntu osanda ufumana i-results? I think eyona nto ingamandla ingathi kume eyona punch inkulu, elona nqindi libuhlungu, kukufumana la SMS evela ku-Dr. so and so ethi you are positive, you are COVID-19 positive. What advice can you give them?
Yes, but I think, I'm so sorry about the pain if you express why upper, because it's so genuine and it's part of the journey. Mnaputpatko into endibonayo ingathi sibooste kakhulu i-immune system, asayiboosta i-emotional system zethu. Ayisincedanga kakhulu imedia nge-information esifida yona, because sifidwa nge-deaths, sifidwa ngemingcwabo, sifidwa with all the negative details of COVID, and we don't get to appreciate the greater part of COVID, which is not as bad as the 2% of people who die. So we hear more about 2% that swallows the 98% of grace that God has afforded us even before we got exposed to the infection. So we know already there is 98% chances that if you contract COVID, you're not going to die. And the population abantu positive, it's only 1 in 50 that will die. I mean, if 50 people are infected, only 1 of those will die. So I think we need these conversations because they are emotional boosters. Sithatha zinc, sathatha vitamin D, no vitamin C, nendoni, sathatha yonke le ndithathwayo, but we have not really taken in the word of encouragement that settles inhliziyo zethu, so that by the time we get infected, or by the time other people get infected, we are emotionally boosted. But we are not saying that immune boosters are preventing the infection. We are saying that if the infection or when the infection hits, at least let it find our bodies ready to deal with it appropriately. So I'm thankful for this opportunity. Yokuba uyenze lento because it's one of the things we need this. Okwesibini, abantu xa be-interpreta ii-conversations ayibone zibekwa i-conversation eyakhayo ne-conversation engakhiyo, because ultimately whatever you take in, whether it's by through your eyes or it's by your ears, it does something inside of us. It does something. So it can either make us feel good or make us feel bad. And that's why people end up drinking utywala okanye bethatha drugs. It's because they want to feel a void or they want to feel good, but there are chemicals that we need emzimbeni okanye zikhona ii-substances ezilapha emzimbeni yethu which are natural endorphins that make us feel good. Why torment ourselves with all the negative stuff and ignore everything else that is good? So now, after my infection, I told myself, you know what, could have been your funeral. I'm going to host a prayer of celebration, because by being people would pitch within no time at all. So been sitting the preparation and we did it over a week. And that is corona as an individual who has been saved by God. This is not uncommon. But abantu from corona victoriously. But post-traumatic. And we need psychologists and psychiatrists to come in good platforms as Ohlobo Patco, but equip abantu before babene corona, ngehlobo sibanike boosters, babene treatment during corona. Noise, there must be holy noise. We need the church to speak up, because now what encouraged me more than anything was my relationship with God. Xa ndivuka ngo-3 nekuseni ngexesha lecorona yayisure ndiqala ndithetha noThixo, andimamele ii-symptoms, andicakamelanga mzimba wam, to hell with corona, ndihlala noThixo ndimamele yena kuqala. By the time zifike za-intimidations neza-threats, sele ndizixelela into yobana even if ubuyile corona ndizakubetha again. Even if kuthiwa ubuya 20 times, ndizakubetha 20 times, because anaxesha loba ndibe ndi-entertainana necorona endingayikhathalanga uba ivela phi na. So we need to be militant. You need to feel yourself with holy anger. Laa nto ekuthiwa holy indignation, uzixelela into yobana ndizakubetha corona sendifile. You know, there's a lady who passed away today, a very powerful lady who passed away, elderly lady. The irony of her passing is that she had a hospital named ngegama lakhe. Uyova wathi ndizakunika umngcwabo mntanam phambi uba ungcwatywe, uzivele antemortem, uzivele bazothina abantu emngcwabeni wakho, even if umngcwabo wakho ube nabantu abayi-50, but the world has seen you. What an irony, but what faith. So even in death we conquer corona. So ndiyayifuna laa nto abantu babe militant, bangazixeleli into yobana bazawufa, even if ufile 2 years.
Okay, I like this. I seriously like this, and I'm not sure if I've lost Dr. Jilata Unumi, because there is a question. You see, the time now is 6 o'clock. So suppose I agree by a conversation, but if you guys are willing to stay with me just a little longer, just a few more minutes, there's an aspect of the conversation that we need to touch on, okay? And I hope that I've not lost Dr. Jilata for good. I'm hoping that she'll dial back in, because ndiyayifuna laa nto kuni ningogqirha ababini abakhoya bestudio today, laa nto yonceda abantu nge-information pertaining to ikhona into ekuthiwa being immune from being reinfected, Pinky. Can people be reinfected? If people can be reinfected, I mean, we've got 3 up a studio, 4 ngawe. No 4 up a studio. You have tasted what it is ukukroba ingcwaba nge-corona. But naphuma nangcwaba ingcwaba le-corona nina. You buried the grave of the corona. But let's talk about into ye reinfection. Ikhona, and what should we do?
It's very early days indaba corona, because all the information that we have, we are really far behind from the disease itself. There's still talks about, it's very rare. If it does happen, it's very rare. Once you get infected, the likelihood of us being infected again within 3 months is low. So what happens is when you get an infection, the body recognizes it as foreign, and then it starts mounting an immune system or a war of its own. And in developing antibodies, we create in ourselves memories that says when this bug comes again, we'll fight it aggressively, and it may, even if it does reinfect, it's not going to come as badly as it did before. That's what the theory is supposed to say. Unfortunately, corona is not behaving like the ordinary theory, as young viruses. it's got a life of its own. So yeah, there's the report now recently that we've seen about a Durban lady who has been reinfected. And I've known about other people anecdotally, ababenez daughters of ababe reinfected after having been cleared of corona and they became infected again. By and large, the risk of reinfection is low. But xana ungakhange ube symptoms as severe, if you had mild symptoms or if you had asymptomatic disease, you are likely to mount a weaker immune system or an immune response compared to somebody who has had severe disease. So, but the antibodies that can aggressively respond to corona, they can last for 3 months, up to 3 months who had mild symptoms. But who had severe disease, it can last to at least 18 months. Meaning that, like any other flu, corona belongs in that big family of flu viruses. With any other flu, you may need to be re-vaccinated. If one of many vaccine, you may need to be re-vaccinated if you fully prevent. Just like we get annual vaccines for flu. But as it is right now, in the immune system, ne complete immunization or a complete vaccination or whatever is still very unclear. Okay. Like I'm saying, the signs are like 3 months for asymptomatic people, or 18 months, up to 18 months, people can maintain a strong immune response to it. So they may not be.
Great stuff. Okay, let me just remind people that have just joined us. We have decided to extend the time a little bit, just a few extra minutes, because the topic just became a little over than what we had prepared for a studio with our researchers, and as we were planning the show, it just got out of control, and with its episodes of emotions, particularly when it comes to discrimination. Discrimination is evil. If you discriminate against anybody that is positive of any disease, whether it be COVID-19 or HIV, you are evil. You are perpetuating the works of the evil one. You must stop it. It's not cool ukunukuneza umuntu ngenxa yoba eteste positive kwisifo. It doesn't matter noba usifumene njani na. But I want the doctors to address, and I'm glad that Dr. Pinky Ncula we are address le ndaba. Let me bring Mam Khenebe in. Makazi, we're talking about indaba ye reinfection, and maybe from what Dr. Ncula has said, you might have some advice that you want to share also with the audience. Please do so.
No, Dr. Pinky Ncula, she has, I think, hit the nail on the head, Unfortunately, most of the studies that have been done around COVID-19, there's a study that was done in Korea, and it has proven that close to 20% of people who have been infected by COVID-19 get reinfections. Whether it's a manifestation of the immunity being low or just not having enough of the antibodies, we don't know. But up to 20% of people get reinfected. What this means is that every measure that has been published currently as to how to prevent COVID-19, even if you have been infected, you have to maintain ESO measures. And we can't stress it enough. Social distancing, washing your hands for 20 seconds minimum, sanitizing your hands, and making sure that if it is not necessary for you to be out of the house, you stay indoors. I think we can't stress enough the importance of these measures, because imagine if 20% of people that have been infected are reinfected. It just perpetuates the whole transmission of the coronavirus to everybody else who perhaps might not have been infected. You understand? So that's what
as a neurologist, Dr. Jilata, have you found situations where you're busy with a patient and maybe in the middle of operating on the patient, you discover that they are also COVID-19 positive, and immediately what are the colleagues' reaction, and what do you switch to in terms of alternative methods of working on that particular patient?
Tinake in my hospital, and this we were lucky enough or unlucky enough. We were one of the first hospitals to have cases the COVID-19 that were published. So we have very strict protocols regarding COVID-19. So if we are figure and doing your operation and you are an urgent patient, you can't wait. We treat you as COVID positive until we have your results. No negative, no positive. If you're a patient who comes in for an elective procedure, by elective I mean somebody who comes and your operation yako can wait a couple of days or wait even a couple of weeks, somebody like that, we have time to test you. Sibonba, are you negative or are you positive? So we don't ever have situations where you discover in theater that somebody is actually positive and you had treated them as negative. So what generally happens is that we'll take you to theater. If your results are kwasinazo because you are an urgent patient and you need to be done right now, siyak operate. And what we do is that we just adhere to the protocols, the international guidelines of how to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. You have to put on your mask, particularly N95 mask. You put on your face shield, very important, because now we know that it's also airborne and can also be transmitted via the eyes, any mucous membrane, really. You make sure you wear particular gloves. So as long as the PPE is adhered to, which is personal protective equipment, then every patient who comes into the hospital who is urgent must be treated as COVID positive. So as been as surprises in theater where you just discover that somebody is positive without you knowing or preparing for that eventuality.
Any hope that either a vaccine or a cure might be seen in the few coming months?
I think there's always hope, you know. As to the time period that it's going to take, I honestly don't know. Most of the studies or most of the suggestions we've heard are that within the next 6 months to 2 years we should have a vaccine. But as it stands, I can't put a pen on paper and say no, within this couple of months we should have. What's promising though is that South Africa is very, very involved in the vaccine trial, which is being done currently by the University of Oxford. So between South Africa, Russia, Brazil, a lot of work is being done by researchers to try and find a vaccine. And in all honesty and in truth, it looks like right now it's our only hope with regards to managing and combating the pandemic.
Okay, you're watching Padkumafani Conversations, and this beautiful Thursday evening, emotional to a great extent, as my guests are relating their stories about having contracted i-COVID-19, or rather having been infected by i-COVID-19. Njengokuba esitsho no Dr. Jilata into kokuba sele ngoku yaba confirmed nento kokuba i-airborne. Lento Dr. Ncula yokuba airborne ngumngcipheko ongakanani kubantu be-public transport system, ngumngcipheko ongakanani from public places point of view, places like shopping centers, those kind of places. What kind of risk, particularly it being airborne?
It becomes very difficult to control because then you don't know how to really fully and effectively control it or contain it. Because in the you breathe it. You breathe it. You don't know how long it's gonna be in the atmosphere before you walk into it. So it's really, it's like it's difficult to control it if it's airborne. The strange thing is that we've had many airborne conditions in the past. We've had TB. I mean, TB is still with us here, but it doesn't infect us at the frequency or at the ngale rate corona COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 infecting abantu. It's a very strange and unique virus. By all means, it's very unique because we can take 10 people now and put them in the same room, by 5, but not most of those people who have not got TB will become infected. But take 5 people again in an enclosed room with 5 other people corona, you are not likely to not get anyone infected. So corona is this COVID infection, the cause of COVID-19 disease. It's a very difficult and very evasive condition. You just hope and pray that if you do get it, you're not going to get the mild disease. Or if you do manage to get severe disease, that you make it. Otherwise, it's not easy to control.
As doctors, how many doctors or how many colleagues you know of that you've lost to it?
I think about maybe less than 5 that I know from my side, doctors. And there's nurses or from corona infection. We are fortunate in our hospital for now. We haven't had any deaths from colleagues, from nurses and doctors. But then in our metro Port Elizabeth, we've had quite a number of nurses pass away, and maybe a doctor or two that I know of.
I want, yeah, being cognizant of the time factor, I think I want to do a round of final comments, from the entire panel, with the survivors and victors, and also the doctors, something that can be of counseling nature to me and any other person that is still lucky not to have been infected. And maybe in your final comments, I'll give each of you a minute or two. In your final comments, also, probably you will share with us what is it that you do on a daily basis to ensure, apart and on top of everything that the doctors have said on the show, ngezanto zokokuba i-reinfection iba nee-chances ezincinci xa umzimba lona ngoku i-antibodies sele ziyazi le virus, and so ii-chances ze-reinfection ziba ncinci. But on top of that, what is it that you do? So Alice, I will come to you. AK, I will come to you. Bobby Lunga Love, I'll come to you, and then I will close with the doctors. Let me start with AK. AK, let me come to you. I'm interested ekwazini into yokokuba what is it now? And US iphantse yaravija ifamily yakho yonke. And that's scary. But what is it now? Onocho uti, you know what? Noko phaa endlini ngoku sixhobele. We are armed because we are doing A, B, C, D.
Okay. I would say, first and foremost, mental strength. I think we need a strong mind shift. Shift the mind. If your mind is sesemva, kuzaba kubi. Corona is not here to play. But in the very same breath, if we entertain it, it will take us away. Your mind must move with the times. You can't give in to no matter indaba zithi kufa abantu abangaphi. Look at the positives. Yonke into ethethwayo, there's always a positive side. Dig deep for the positives and
I need to come in. I need to come in, AK. Yeah, I need to come in apha AK. Ngakumbi kule nto uyithethayo yoba kuyaliwa ngoku. Do you think that ikhona le nto kuthiwa i-overconsumption of the news about the deaths and about this and about that, particularly xa kule 14-day period? Did you avoid the news wena umzekelo? Did you find the news really negative and draining and depressing and demotivating and all the D's, demotivating, depressing, D.
I would say ikhona, but I think it varies from person to person, because I know for that 14 days, 21 days, my husband was offered completely. Ebengafuna COVID, ebengafuna ufunda nto, ebengafuna izidebts, ebengafuna intoni. But because I'm the type of person who panics when I don't know, I'm rather safer when I know. So I want to know how many people are dying. I want to know how many people are getting infected, so that okay, mandilwe to beat these odds. So I think from person to person it might vary. Abanye abantu abazifuni ezaa ndaba. Mna bendizifuna because bendizixelela uba ndizawuba yilaa case izawusurviva. So
Wow.
if uyazibona uba mentally awurongo, maybe ungaziyeka. But for me, it was a case yoba akho asthma izawundenza ndithathwe yi-COVID, or akho COVID izawundithatha because I'm asthmatic. Zikhona ii-tools at my disposal. But the biggest tool besides medicine and anything else is your mental agility and spirituality. Because at the end of the day, my thing to my family was that at the end of the day, we are watching abantu bayafa, and we have seen that bafa on the daily. Asifanga thina asiguqa ngedolo sithandaze, because it's we have been chosen into yobana asizufa, and siyancedisa ke nathi. Unyana unento ayithandayo athi, mama udla ngokuthi uThixo unceda abazincedayo. Bedla ngotsho yena athi masiyofuthani, uThixo unceda abazincedayo. So if asifutha uThixo akazukwazi usinceda. My daughter as well kept saying into yobana ngamanye amaxesha kunzima nothandaza uqoma uyonqena, athi masithandazeni mama, kaloku uThixo usikhethile thina, so masithandazeni kweze bazosikhetha nangomso. So I'd say for me it was spirituality and my mental strength. I think dizinyanzele phofu nalapho. So you've got to keep strong mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I like the fact that you have a slightly different view even to the issue of checking the news, and that's an interesting dynamic. Mamkhinebe mandize kuwe, your closing remarks, including what is it that you do currently to make sure that awuphindi uhlaselwe kwakhona.
yenzayo right now ngisazigcine ngolaa hlobo bendizigcine ngalo before, because before bendise careful to make sure uba ngaba xa ndizawulala we make sure that sisela ke ezi-immune boosters kuthethwa ngazo, and then we pray. Ixesha elinintsi ke ndiyathandaza nango-12 anytime ndivukile ndithi Thixo liphinde lafike elaa xesha mhlawumbi undivuse ngabomi. So ndizigcine ngomthandazo, ndizama nokulungisa ingqondo yam uba ndibuye kulaa nto yocinga negative about this virus, because uThixo ukwazile ukundisindisa nefemeli yam. Wasinda umyeni after ehleli for 3 weeks in ICU kwi-machines. So uThixo ngaloo ndlela nje wandibonisa into yoba ngaba okay, you can survive, and uThixo unakho nangokho nomzuzu. So yindlela endizigcine ngayo, ndithi make sure nalapha endlini uba abantwana banazo zonke izinto ezizabancedisa for i-immune booster. Akuyiwa nasesikolweni ke apha kum endlini if mhlawumbi kuyabanda, because andibaweli mhlawumbi any flu at the moment, because ndiyayazi uba ngaba sisefragile kakhulu. So ndigcinwe nje yiloo nto indigcinile kakhulu into yoba ngaba ndizama uba ndibuyele back to i-positiveness ngendlela endicinga ngayo, yeka ucinga the worst, because I had to face into yoba ngaba ndibuyele back emsebenzini ngoku. That means i-reality iye yafika nalapha kum uba okay, then I have to face abantu, I have to face i-reality yoba i-corona is here to stay. So therefore mna mandifune nje iindlela zophila kule nto le corona ikhoyo, ndiyazi uba ngaba sifumana indlela yophila, singaphinde qha siphinde sibe nayo kwakhona. I avoid i-public transport, inintsi nje othi into endiyi-avoyidayo at the moment, but into endingayithetha nje into yoba ndizigcinile nefemeli yam nabantu abasondeleyo, wonke umntu anyway ndimgcine ngomthandazo uba Thixo nakweli tyeli noba ifikile kwabani, but aze ayinqobe axese nam njengoba nam ndiyinqobile apha kule yam indlu. So umyalezo wam ke ebantwini, nongekabi nayo zithathe ngoba ingathi unayo, zitreat as someone osele kuthiwe upositive, so that uzokwazi ukuthi naxa kuthiwe ke yangqina into yoba ngaba yes you are positive, uyazi uba ngaba what to do. Unga-break it down ifani nam, because enye yezizathu zoba ndi-break it down ndandicinga fam I'm very careful andizudibana nayo le corona. So ukuxelelwa kwam it was a shock. So that is why indlela endaye ndareactha ngayo yaba a bit too much, ndingayibeka ngolo hlobo, because after ndiye ndayinqoba ndiye ndabona uba anyway you can survive it, you can beat this. So iyakwazi uba uyinqobe njengomthandazo noba uzigcine u-active. And ke sorry, nejim iyandinceda kakhulu because siya-exercisa kakhulu apha endlini, sinazo nee-machines uba sikwazi uba sihle nje siyazilolonga. Zonke ezo zinto ezo before silale siyathandaza, nokutya esikutyayo idayethi siyijongile kakhulu.
Okay.
I think I got lost.
All right.
I don't know. But yeah.
Okay. Lovely. For a second, beske kodwa ke busogqibezela siyibambile le point buyenza mamqhindebe. Umfundisi uJabu for whatever maphumulo esithi, when your train of life enters the tunnel of affliction, yakhumsha ke le ndoda umthetho wayo, when your train of life enters the tunnel of affliction, do not jump out by giving up or looking at the dark side of life because the tunnel of affliction is seasonal by nature. Uloliwe wobomi bakho uzawuphumela, itunnel izawuphela. May God continue to use these overcomers. Utsho ke umfundisi uJabu Maphumule, Nkosi mntakwethu. And nangomnye osalwa ne-COVID thuliswa uthi sizoyinqoba ngegama likaJehova. Ulwa nayo ngoku uthuliswa. She is my sister's daughter. She's my niece. Ulwa nayo ngoku as we speak. Okay, pretend as if you are positive, even if you didn't test. Look after yourself and take care. Kucho umendi umakabaila Max esitsho ke sithi pretend as if so nayo ngoku. All right, and then ke umandisa sithela uthi sigcinwe sisandla sakhe, my sister, sigcinwe sisandla sakhe. Bobby Lunga Love, I want to come to you for your parting shot, so that we sort of get to know what is it that you do now, and then maybe a word of advice as well as we wrap up the show.
Kulwa, I've changed my diet. I eat a lot of they dominate, but they need to look after their diet. I also decided to weaponize myself. I'm reading a lot now about COVID. I'm working on a TV show that you and I spoke about that I will produce that will talk about the positive stories of COVID. Maybe some of the survivors, we will talk to them. I will be advised by you. Banyanisile ke osisi zithathe ngokuba une-COVID. So ndisahleli nam kulando yokubana ndisazibooster, ndizithatha ngokuba ndine-COVID. I'm still a little bit paranoid to see people. So I don't take my mask off.
Yeah, well, masixolise nje ikhona indaba ye-interference kwi-network yakhe uBobby Lunga Love. Njengoba sibona into yoba i-picture yakhe ifrizile phaya, but in a nutshell I-emphasize kakhulu nendaba ye-masks, uthi naye akasayenzi i-risk yokokuba aphume into the outside without a mask, and that becomes important. Usandiva wena la ithi kwelakho icala? Okay, ingathi samsukulisa kwela cala. I will come back to him. I'll come back to him xa i-network yakhe ngathi ya-improve. I need a parting shot from Dr. Pinky Ncula. Pinky, what is your parting shot lo mzuzu uBobby Lunga Love esasukuliswa i-network yakhe?
I think that's the part. Into ebalulekileyo abantu mabangoyiki. If fear is just a spirit that comes together with the COVID. Yeah, intimidator, yeah, threatenisha, no doubt, and we have evidence. People die, and not just individuals, but sometimes the whole households or lots of people in one family. So you're not, yeah, threatenisha, but we need to stand on our guns. We need to know that we are facing an enemy, and we need to try and do everything in our power that we can, so that we are over. But most importantly, be fearless but careful. Fearless but careful. We cannot be imprisoned forever because we don't know how long this bug is going to be in our midst for. So we need to know how to navigate life. Siqhobile nge-wisdom, siqhobe nge-knowledge, siqhobe nge-logic, without being emotional. Don't act out of emotion, act out of logic. Masibe ngabantu abareasonishayo ngoku, masibe ngabantu aba-overcomayo. Let's fill our minds with just the unction nalanto ethi conviction yoba andizosweleka nge-corona. I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to eat as normally, as healthy as possible. But no engazoyenza kukoyika, andizohlala ubomi bentshontsho ndibengcungcutheka in a prison of something that is beyond my control. Anyway, control what you can, but leave the rest in the hands of God. Fearless but careful.
Wow, control what you can and leave the rest to the hand of the Lord. Dr. Pinky Ncula esinika that parting shot. I want to come to Dr. Jilata. Mamkunebe, parting shot yako. izawuphela iwinter okusalayo, and we're gonna get to the time of the year. Bendikhe ndakwi-meeting namhlanje, ndikwi-meeting with one of our shopping centers kule nkampani endixelenga kuyo in terms of marketing kwa-Rebosis ne-Billion Group kasisa Ngebulana. And sithetha about the times that are coming, the times of Black Friday. I-Black Friday ya this year izobe injani kune-COVID-19. Sithetha about i-festive season ka-2020 izobe injani in the context of COVID-19. So we are facing times that are usually and normally exciting times. Izawudlula iwinter, kufike loo maxesha mnandi, kuzawufika oma-heritage long weekend, amaxesha emitshato, kufike amaxesha kaDisemba. And I don't know into yoba sabe sindawuni in terms of mhlawumbi discovery yamachiza, either vaccine or cure or whatever, nobody knows. But ukuba ngaba sifike kuloo maxesha kusenje sizawuthina. I know that upresident nayo ne-announcement azawuyenza ngo-8, but ukuba ngaba loo maxesha afika kusenje, what is it as a parting shot that Dr. Jilata you want to give the viewers tonight?
I'd like to say one has to protect their mental strength, firstly. Unfortunately, we still going to live with COVID-19 for a very long time. And you need to navigate your life around it. What I mean by that is the exciting times are coming, but unfortunately, because we're living in a new normal right now, normal. If it means Black Friday this year must just be virtual, people will still spend because they still need those things. So everybody, not just the consumer, but also the people owning the stores themselves, have to get themselves aligned with the new normal. Abantu bazawuthenga, bazawuenjoya, but at the end of the day, funeka protect. You treat everybody around you as if they were COVID positive until proven otherwise. So unfortunately, going to the mall and jumping up and down, shop, perhaps this year is not going to be a possibility. But then we have to train our minds to adjust and know that we have other options, still enjoying the same privileges we enjoyed in the past. Black Friday will come, we'll enjoy it as a Black Friday during COVID times. Heritage Day will come, we'll enjoy a Heritage Day during COVID. Uzawunxiba iimpahla zakho ze-traditional attire, ufake imask yakho, ufake i-visor, ungene phandle. Because we have it in the new normal. While doing that, making sure that we protect our mental stability. Because I find a lot of people struggle with mental stability during COVID. Unfortunately, our new normal means that you need to make it active to protect your mental stability. Making sure that you talk to your loved ones almost every single day. You can't talk to those loved ones right now live by going to them. But we do have other methods. We have the phone, you have Skype, you have Zoom. I never even knew about Zoom. Apparently, it has existed for a very long time. I only found out about it about 2 or 3 months ago. This, unfortunately, is the new normal. So, my livelihood is not going to disappear just because I'm living during COVID times. We're not the first generation to live through a pandemic or live through a war. We're gonna come out of it. Even if we come out of it with 80% of the population with post-traumatic stress disorder. But you know what? I'm not the first generation to be living through a pandemic. And what do people do when they're living through a pandemic or living through any type of war scenario? You've got to self-preserve and preserve the ones around you. What that means is that you make sure that you remember to be grateful for the things that you do have. You've got a roof over your head. You've got food every evening. Be grateful for those things. Pandemic is odlula. Enye nenye sizoyileqa after 2 years when the pandemic is gone. But right now, you self-preserve, you protect your mental stability, and you enjoy the things that you previously enjoyed, but you enjoy them under the auspices of the new normal. So if it means the Christmas year this year is spend on Zoom, then that's what it means. That's what we're going to do. Because we're not only protecting our mental stability, but we're protecting each other from spreading COVID-19 to each other. So what I want to say is you preserve your life. A life without livelihood is not worth living. And asizungaphili ngenxa ye-COVID. Ezathi after 2 years ibe ingekho, ibe ikushiye wena without your life. So we're gonna continue, but we're gonna continue with the new rules that we're gonna abide by. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Mam Caleb. Thank you, Siabulela Mantoka. Words of wisdom. We may need to get used or get accustomed to the new normal. In other words, ubombetu buse abnormal, but buhambe kubekho i-new normal. And siqhele futhi. Seyiqheleka nale kokuba abantu udibana nabantu bonke benxibe i-masks when you go around. Iyaqheleka ngokuba uba snacks umuntu onganxibanga mask uqomba yu uvelaphi lo muntu unganxibanga mask. So that's an example of the new normal. that's an example of the new normal. And xa siyivala ke sifuna ubulela kakhulu kwi-guest zethu studio, and uthi ke ulunga mdleleni, we shall overcome. And she picks this up from part of okanye he picks this up from part of what you were saying, ukuthi izawudlula and it must find us having survived. Thank you so much for your time. And ingathi sendishiye ke nawe wedwa apha studio. Oh yes, basekhona nabanye phaa ngaseback backstage. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for educating us. Thank you for counseling us. And yeah, and all the best for you as well. Thank you. Okay, all right. Ndiphathela breakfast eyondla ekuseni. Sibulela kakhulu kwi-Podcast Mafani Conversation xa besincokola namhlanje nogqirha ndawenye ne-victors ze-COVID-19. It has been wonderful, and thanks for you for joining us and your contributions and your messages of support that you were giving to our guests. My name is Podcast Mafani, signing off. We will see you next week, Thursday.